Hello, my name is Mandy Chessel, and on this video I'm going to demonstrate the integration between Unity Catalog and Egeria. I'm not sure what you know about these technologies, but they're both open source projects, and they are sponsored by the LFAI and Data Foundation. They're also both governance tools, and they both have a metadata repository. So what's the difference between them? Unity Catalog's job is to govern access to data. So its metadata repository contains information about the data it's managing, and it provides commands and REST APIs to allow you to look at that metadata, but also to retrieve data depending on your access rights. Egeria's responsibility is to synchronize metadata between tools and systems. So it has a network of connected metadata repositories, each installed in different environments where the systems are located. And in these metadata repositories contain information about the systems that they're synchronizing and the tools, the data within them, the processes that are running between them, as well as the people and the organizations that are involved. So they both have quite different, even though they both seem to be governance systems and they both have metadata repositories, they actually contain quite different data, and they have a very complementary role to play. If you look at the screen in front of you, you can probably recognize it. It's Jupyter Lab. It's actually a special build of Jupyter Lab that includes Egeria. There's two parts to this Egeria installation. There's PyEgeria. So PyEgeria is a set of Python libraries that include functions that you can include in your notebooks and your Python programs. It includes a command level interface that allows you to run commands on the command line, as well as widgets. So the widgets are designed to allow you to see what's going on inside Egeria. So the black area in front of you is one of these widgets, and it's showing the servers that are pre-configured in our runtime. Now, there are different types of servers that have different jobs to do, but the ones I'm going to focus on are what we call our governance servers, and these are the engine host and the integration daemon. I'm going to start with the engine host. This particular widget shows what's running inside the engine host server. You can see that there are 4 governance engines. So a governance engine is a collection of pluggable governance services, as we call them, and each one performs an individual function. At the top, we've got an engine called Asset Survey, and it's collected together a set of governance actions that perform surveys. And by a survey, we mean that it will connect to a particular type of technology and survey what's going on, what it finds there, and then create a summary report called a survey report. There are different implementations for different types of technology. And if you look at the list over on the far right-hand side, you can see that there are actually 4 types of servers for Unity Catalog. There is this one here, Survey Unity Catalog Server. So that provides a survey over the whole of a Unity Catalog server, so everything inside it. Then at the bottom here, you've got Survey Unity Catalog Catalog. So that looks inside a particular server at a particular catalog and surveys its contents. So within Unity Catalog, there are the resources are divided into catalogs. So you can think of Unity Catalog Server as a catalog of catalogs. Each catalog has schemas inside it, and then the actual data resources are found inside the schemas. So you've got a sort of 3-level naming convention. So in addition to being able to survey a single catalog, we can survey a schema within a catalog, and finally a volume within, where's that one? There it is, a volume within a schema. So a volume is a collection of files. Think of it as a folder of files, and these files are related in some way. Okay, so I'm going to start the demo with running the server survey so that we can see what's in my local Unity catalog. The way we do this, the first thing we have to do is to log on to Egeria, and that's that command there, which gives us a token to the server. This next command is going to create an entry in Egeria's metadata repository that describes Unity Catalog and where it's located. So let's do that. What comes back is this long number, which is a unique identifier of the server entry in our metadata repository, and we call this a GUID. We need that GUID. Well, once we've got that GUID, we can then start performing functions on the server. So this first one I'm going to call is called initiate governance action type, and this is going to call the server Unity Catalog server. So, actually, before I do this, let's switch screens, and here you can see what we call engine actions. So because a survey might take a while, it runs asynchronously. So when I start the survey, what I'm actually doing is creating an engine action in our metadata repository. And that object is used to control the survey and also to record what happened to it so that you can find out what happened to the survey afterwards. So this widget here is showing the engine actions in the server. I'm going to go back to here, press play to run it. And here you see the survey running. And it ran pretty quickly, and that's because it's actually quite a small Unity catalog. Now, the survey results are stored in the metadata repository as well, and attached to the server entity. So you can go from the server entity and see the survey results from there. It also produces a summary of the survey in a CSV file. And the CSV file is accessible from here. Now we need to pick the one that, for 2-3 seconds, that'll be it. So here it is. Let's pop this over here. And so you can see it's a very simple table of the contents of Unity Catalog. Now, if you're familiar with the technology, you'll notice that this is pretty much the default metadata when you first start up Unity Catalog. There's a main catalog called Unity. There's a single schema called default, so unity.default. And then there's a variety of different types of elements within it. So we've looked at it, we think it looks interesting, and so we want to start to exchange metadata, to synchronize metadata between Egeria and Unity Catalog. We do this by creating a relationship between the server entity in our metadata repository and the entity that represents the connector that's going to do the synchronizing. So these connectors, the special connectors called integration connectors, that's not looking good. Let's just pop that like that. Called integration connectors. They're long-running processes, and they run in the server called the integration daemon. They are, as you can see here, there are a number running, and they each focus on different types of technology. Probably you've spotted that there are two for Unity Catalog. One of them is this one, and it's called Unity Catalog Server Synchronizer. This one is the Bootstrap one. It connects to a Unity Catalog server, looks for the catalogs, and then configures this one here, the Unity Catalog inside Catalog Synchronizer with each of the catalogs. Now you can configure the inside Catalog Synchronizer directly and not use the server one. So if you want to be very selective on which catalogs you want to synchronize, then you can do that. But I'm going to show the server synchronizer actually doing this Bootstrap for us. So here's the code that does it, and it's called add catalog target because that's the name of the relationship between the entity that represents the integration connector and the entity that represents the server. So here we go. Let's press play and see what happens. Okay, so we've got another GUID back, and that's actually the relationships GUID. And you can also see that the widget is now displaying the fact that the local Unity catalog is now a target of this particular Unity catalog synchronizer. Now, because we don't want to flood the systems that we're working with, and many of them don't give notifications when things change, we typically poll. And this number here as the number of minutes it waits between each poll. We're not going to wait 60 minutes for this to come around for its turn. So I'm actually going to issue a command called refresh, which will tell the integration daemon to give each of these connectors a kick and tell them to do some work. So as we start this off, you can see the refreshing is dropping down. And you can also now see that Unity Catalog Inside Catalog Synchronizer has been configured with the Unity catalog information. So I'm going to do refresh again, and this will give the Inside Catalog Synchronizer a chance to actually work with the Unity catalog it's just been given. And you can see it's refreshing here, and that's done. Now this is a very small Unity catalog. Let's try another. So I'm in the UK, and I am going to connect to a Unity catalog in Austin, Texas. So you may see a small network delay as we do this, but I'm going to do exactly the same thing, which is define the server and create the relationship. And here you can see we now have the Austin Unity catalog in the list, ready to go. I'm going to do the refresh again. And then what you actually see happening is as it refreshes, it's pulling those catalogs from Austin and configuring the Inside Catalog Synchronizer. So here they are. I think that's probably all that we are expecting. And I'm going to refresh again so that the Inside Catalog Synchronizer is then able to start its work. And while it's working, we should consider why on earth are we exchanging metadata between these two technologies? Well, in this particular demo, we're focusing on pulling metadata from Unity Catalog. And the value for doing that is that Egeria has a search engine. So if we're pulling metadata from multiple Unity catalogs, we can now do searches across all of an organization's data to find out that's managed by Unity Catalog, to find out, to find certain types of data that's of interest. Egeria's metadata repository has a history function, so it's possible to ask queries of what did we know at a certain period of time. So, you might say, well, what was that table structure that we deleted from Unity Catalog last week? So that you're not sort of stuck with what you currently have in the Unity Catalog repository. And finally, Egeria sends notifications when metadata changes. So if an update is made to Unity Catalog and and Egeria detects it, then you'll get notifications. So you can watch for changes through Egeria to your Unity Catalog servers. Okay, so I think the refresh is finished while I've been talking. And so let's have a little look at the metadata we've got. So this is a very simple command that allows us to retrieve page through elements of a certain type of technology. So it wants to know the technology name. So I'm going to type in Unity Catalog Table. And then hit return, and these are the tables that we've pulled both from the local Unity catalog and from the one in Austin. And there we have it. So that's the end of the demo. I hope you found it interesting. There's a huge amount that I could tell you about Egeria, and I'm planning to do so in follow-on videos. But for today, here's a few takeaways. So at the beginning of the video, I showed you a survey, and the survey process is incredibly important when you're coming up to a new server, system, or whatever. To actually be able to run a survey and see what's there before you start the cataloging process prevents you from filling your metadata repository with many things that you really don't want. The second thing is that you probably saw that Egeria is incredibly configurable from Python environment. So you can have notebooks and Python scripts and things that are connecting in new systems, looking at results and various other things. So it's a very flexible environment. It's also extremely scalable. And that's important in an enterprise. So it will run on a Raspberry Pi, so it can be used on the edge to help manage data from sensors, for example. This environment I've showed you is really an individual come small team type environment. But the platform is also multi-tenant. It can scale horizontally to a very large set of workloads in a sort of cloud environment or similar sort of data center type of setting. And each of these deployments can all talk to one another. So you can start small with a small team and maybe then do something more central, and then everything can be connected together as you need to do it. So there's a lot more to say. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And I also expect to be back soon with new videos. Thank you for listening.